Hi everyone, welcome to class. My name's Claire and today I'm taking you through a 1-hour beginners yoga class. So today I thought we'd recap what we've been working on over the last few weeks, and I thought we would focus mostly on inversions. So for those of you who don't know, inversions are basically a group of postures where we invert the body. And when you think about gravity and how the heart pumps oxygenated blood through the entire body, even though it's working really hard to get the blood to all of the extremities of our body, it's obviously a lot easier for it to pump blood downwards with the gravity, and a lot harder to pump the blood up to the upper body and up to the brain. So inversions basically just reverse these effects of gravity and allow the heart to pump more oxygenated blood up to the brain. And if you look into some of the ancient yogic texts, sometimes inversions are referred to as the fountain of youth, and I think that's just because of this extra blood flow and oxygenated blood moving into the upper body. It helps to create a lot more energy and vitality overall. So as always, let's start on our back in Supta Baddha Konasana. All we will need today, you can have a couple of blocks or a pile of sturdy books, and make sure you've got a clear wall handy because we might come against the wall as well, and a bolster or a couple of pillows. So let's come and lay back now. And as always, we start in Supta Baddha Konasana, feet together, knees apart, and we just lay back over the top of the bolster, and we'll bring our palms to face the ceiling. And we'll just start to gently rock the hips from side to side and find a comfortable position. If that's feeling a little bit strong on your inner thighs, just bring the feet to the outside edges of the mat and rest the knees together. And if that's creating too much of a curve in the lower back for you, just get rid of some of the pillows or get rid of the bolster and just lay flat on the floor. If you like, you can rest your hands on your belly just to connect with the breath moving through you. Or otherwise, just rest the backs of the hands on the floor. And then we'll close our eyes and just start to allow your whole body to settle back into the mat. Start to leave behind any outside thoughts. Forget about what you have to do later in the day or what happened earlier in your week, and just start to tune your awareness inwards. Notice how you're feeling today in this moment. And slowly scan through the entire body just to notice how you're feeling in each and every part on all layers. Scan through all the systems. Maybe starting with the muscles, notice where you're holding on to any sort of tension and just see if you can use your focus to release some of that. Feel into the container of your skin. See if you can tune into the heartbeat. Notice how your nervous system is feeling. Is this sense of holding on, or can you use that internal focus to start relaxing the nervous system and finding a deeper stillness? Keep scanning through all the parts of the body and just observing. Smoothing the parts out that need a little extra attention in this moment. And slowly we arrive at a place where every tiny little muscle, every part feels relaxed and still. Let's just stay here for a few more moments. We'll start to deepen our breath now, lengthening out the inhales and the exhales, and start to let the belly expand and relax with the breath. So when we exaggerate that rise and fall of the belly with the breath, we're just helping to retrain our diaphragm to move a little bit more dynamically so that we can find more depth. So as you inhale, let the belly rise and expand. And as you exhale, let the belly fall and contract. And just a few more moments here of focusing in on this deeper breath. And then on the next breath, we're going to gather up our elbows and just bring the arms over our head. Let the arms hang. And if you like, you can slide the hands apart, interlace the fingers, flip the palm, the face upwards over the head, and then press the palms away from the body, lengthening through the elbows. Feel this length extend down the whole body, all the way down to the pelvis. Take 2 more breaths from here. One more deep inhale and exhale, relaxing the arms, release the hands and keep the arms at a right angle as we circle the arms down to the floor until the elbows are touching the floor. Keep the arms heavy so there's this sense that we're opening up the chest and the shoulders just gently. And once the elbows touch the floor, reverse that action. Windmill the arms up over the head. You might like to interlace the fingers and again, press the palms up. Do this 2 more times. Deep inhale and exhale, releasing the hands. Bring the arms to a right angle. Circle the arms down towards the floor, keeping the arms heavy so we're opening up the chest gently. And then the elbows touch the floor. And then reverse that action, arms heavy. As they circle back up, interlace the fingers, press the palms up over the head. Take a deep inhale and exhale, slowly bending the elbows, release the fingers. The arms stay at a right angle. The arms stay heavy as we circle the elbows down towards the floor. Take a deep inhale here. As we exhale, we'll roll over onto our right side. Use the left hand to press ourselves up. And let's come and sit on a bolster or a pillow. So we come to sit in Sukhasana, easy pose. Try and line up the heels if you can, or just cross the legs over. And that little bit of height underneath the hips means that we can roll the knees down towards the floor and the hips stay nice and relaxed. So we're just sort of tricking our nervous system into saying, okay, yep, this is fine. I can just start to gradually let go of the tension. If the knees are hanging up here, that's usually a sign there's a lot of tension in the hips, and the body will tend to hold on to that tension. So that height just means that we can peel the knees down to the floor. So that's ideal. Beautiful. So start to draw up through the spine to the crown of the head. Draw the shoulders back and down, and just feel into this beautiful tall posture for a moment. Also check the underneath side of the chin is horizontal to the floor, and we'll move the chin back so the back of the neck comes into alignment with the rest of the spine. Close your eyes, feel into that posture for one more moment. Just check that you're still bringing that deeper breath into the practice. Okay, take a deep inhale. Exhale, roll the chin down to the chest. The right ear comes over to the right shoulder. From here, we'll keep the head peeling over to the side, but we'll just see if we can lift our nose up towards the ceiling. So we might feel the stretch through the side of the neck move forward a little bit. And then as we exhale, draw the nose down. So feel the stretch in the side of the neck move back a little bit. The whole time the head stays heavy, come back to the center, nose forward. And then we semicircle all the way over to the other side. Once we're here, once we've got that opening through the middle of the side of the neck, inhale, lift the nose. Feel the stretch move forward in the neck slightly, and then move the nose down to feel the stretch move back. Coming back to the center, nose faces forward. And then we semicircle the head over to the other side. Keep the head heavy. Inhale, lift the nose. Exhale, drop the nose. Head faces forward. And then semicircle the head all the way over to the left. Inhale, lift the nose. Exhale, drop the nose. Coming back to the center before semicircling the head. Let's do one more round on each side. Inhale, lift the nose so the stretch moves forward. Exhale, drop the nose, the stretch moves back. Nose faces forward. The stretch moves to the center of the side of the neck, and then semicircle the head. Inhale, lift the nose. And exhale, drop. Coming back to the center. And then semicircling the head so the chin drops down to the chest. Keep the shoulders rolling back and down. And we'll take the hands over the head and just gently press down on top. And you might like to rock the hands from side to side so the nose starts to move from side to side. The head starts to roll from side to side. And then release, the head comes up, draw the shoulders back and down, start to lift through the chest. We come into a little bit of an upper body arch where the belly button starts to draw forward, the elbows start to draw back, the shoulders draw back. Lift through the chest, keep length in the back of the neck. Hold for 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. And release. So we'll bring the arms out to the side. See if you can bring the hands into a reverse press, so this position behind the back. We do that by just finding the tops of our fingertips, and then we just slide the hands up the center of the back and press the hands together. And then from here we start to draw the elbows back. Keep the shoulders pressing down. If you can't quite get that shape behind your back, then you can just grab onto the forearms behind the back. And again, we start to lift through the spine, squeeze the shoulders back and down, start to draw the elbows back. And whichever version we're in, we'll just hold for 5 long, deep breaths. Closing your eyes, feeling into the sensations. Breathing in and exhale, release. Releasing the arms out to the side, and then this feeling that we're sort of gathering up something, a ball or whatever you'd like to imagine, and then we just gather that up to the belly. You can interlace the fingers, and then we press the palms forward and we start to arch through the back. The belly button draws back, the shoulders draw forward as we press the palms forward. And then we come to straight spine, little upper body arch as we bring the arms back. Keep moving the arms back and start to poke the head through that little window. And then come back to straight spine, little upper body arch. And then carving out space. Use a lot of energy and control as you float the arms down. And again, we gather up space. Interlace the fingers, press the palms forward, and we start to round through the back. Draw the shoulders forward, chin comes to the chest. And then we come up to straight spine, little upper body arch. The arms continue to reach back as the head pokes through. And coming up to straight spine, and then carving out space. And we'll go one last round. Just be aware of how your spine is moving with this. Gathering up space, so gathering up a ball, interlace the fingers, and then press the palms forward as we round through the back. Coming up to straight spine, little upper body arch. The arms continue to move back as the head moves forward. Coming up to straight spine, little upper body arch. Carving out space. And then we'll just bring the hands to the heart. Press the thumbs into the heart as you lift through each and every vertebrae up to the crown of the head. And then from here, we start to lift our elbows and push our hands down. So we feel a little bit of an opening through our wrists, maybe even our hands. The elbows lift, 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 lift. We keep pressing the palms down. Feel the stretch through our fingers. Stay for one more breath. Pressing the palms all the way up, and then we're going to float forward onto all fours. So we'll keep warming up the spine with cat-cow. So we start with our shoulders over our wrists and our hips are over our knees. Spread the fingers wide so the middle finger's facing forward. And as we inhale, the crown of the head and tailbone moves up to the ceiling, the belly button moves to the floor. We exhale, the head and tail draw under, we pull up through the sides and arch through the back. Inhale, head and tail float up. And exhale, curling under. Inhale, head and tail float up. The belly button draws to the floor. And exhale, head and tail curl under, and we're arching through our back, pulling up through the sides. You'll notice as I do this, I'm not moving forward and back at all. My limbs are pretty fixed in place. And you can think of the movement maybe being initiated from the crown of the head and the tailbone, or one or the other. And whichever way the crown of the head and the tailbone are moving, the middle of the spine or the belly button moves in the opposite direction. Let's do 3 more rounds. And then coming to neutral spine, start to sink the hips back towards the heels. We come into child's pose. You can walk the arms forward. So child's pose, you can either keep the knees, the heels, the hips in a parallel line, or you can open the knees a little bit wider and just allow the torso to fall in between them. The arms can be reaching forward or they can be by your side. And this is always a really, really good posture just to drop down into if you need a moment's rest when you're in class. So it's really, really important to remember that we're all feeling so different on any particular day. It could be the season, it could be the weather, it could be what we've been going through in a week. All of these different things affect how we're feeling in our body on any particular day. And even people that have practiced for a really long time, they sometimes need a little bit of a rest in between postures or sequences. So this is where you'll come to if you need to pause. So let's just feel into this for a couple more moments, maybe rock the hips from side to side. And then let's revisit downward dog. So slide the knees in a little bit, so the knees, the hips and the heels are now in a parallel line. And we're stretching the arms out, just checking they're also in a parallel line. The fingers are spread wide, middle fingers facing directly forward. And then we tuck the toes under. Imagine that there's a string attached to your tailbone or a strap underneath your hips, pulling them straight up to the ceiling. So to start, keep your knees quite bent. Really lift up through the tailbone and start to push the chest through the arms. If you feel like there's a lot of weight pouring down through the shoulders, just broaden through the shoulders and wrap the underarms around towards the heart. So there's not this feeling like you're sort of dumping down into the shoulders, you're holding through that area with control. And then from here, once you've got that lift, once you're pressing through and you're activating, broadening through the shoulders, wrapping the underarms around towards the heart, then you can start to lengthen through the knees. But the moment that you feel the back starting to pop out, you know you need to bend the knees a little bit again, because it's more important to get that lift through the hips and the chest pressing through than it is to lock the knees. That will compromise our back. So take it slowly, step by step. Let's roll the knees down to the floor. Have a moment's rest in child's pose. And then let's go again. So check the knees, the hips and the heels are in a parallel line. Check the arms are in a parallel line. Spread the fingers wide. And then tuck the toes under. Imagine a strap underneath your hips, pulling the hips straight up to the ceiling. Keep the knees bent. Start to press the chest through your arms. Broaden through the shoulders. Wrap the underarms around towards the heart. Feel as though the scapular bones are pressing down the back away from the ears. And then you can start to create a bit more length in the knees, but just make sure your back doesn't move. Breathing in. Exhale, roll the knees down towards the floor. We'll come and sit back on our heels this time. Bring our hands to our lower back, fingertips facing downwards. Draw the elbows back together. We'll take a little upper body arch. Breathing in. Exhale, chin drops down to the chest. Windmill the arms up over the head. Interlace the fingers. We'll press down on the head again. Draw the elbows down. And then draw the belly button forward as we open the elbows and lift through the heart. Exhale, draw the shoulders forward. Elbows come in, just gently round through the back. And then moving the spine and the neck the other way. Draw the elbows back as far as they can go. So we're exhaling as we're rolling forward. And we're inhaling as we come up. Keep going, keep coordinating the movement with the breath. Next time we come up, come to straight spine. Windmill the arms out and down, rock forward. We tuck the toes under. And let's make our way to stand. Start to peel the hips up away from the floor. Keep softness in the knees. And then tuck the tailbone under. You can keep the hands on the legs for support or just dangle the arms as we come all the way up to stand. And then let's revisit our little flow sequence. So coming to the front of the mat, hands come to the heart and just tune into your posture for a moment. So neutral hips, straight spine, chin pushing backwards slightly so the back of the neck comes into alignment with the rest of the spine, and a string attached to the crown of the head pulling the spine upwards, and the hands come to the heart. So we go inhale, scoop the arms wide, and exhale, we dive forward into forward fold. Slide the hands up the shins, coming into flat back. And exhale, soften the knees, melting forwards, grounding down through the hands, and we step the feet back into plank. You're quite welcome to drop the knees straight away, otherwise hold plank for a breath. And then we go 8 points to the floor. So remember, we're trying to drop the chest to the point between the hands. We're not moving the hips back. We're not letting our elbows float out to the side. We're keeping our shoulders directly over our wrists. Fold the elbows back, engage through the core, and leave the hips behind as you lower the chest. Good, one more breath here. Before we slide onto our belly, make sure the fingers are lining up with the shoulders. Roll the shoulders back and down, squeeze the elbows in, squeeze in the glutes. We come up to cobra. Squeeze the elbows into the sides. So make sure they're not popping out. You shouldn't be locking the elbows either. They should be folding back. So this can be quite low or a little bit higher, depending on the point where you lose the lock. So the moment that you lose some of those locks where the elbows are pulling in and the shoulders are drawing back, you know you need to come down. From here, pressing into the hands, move the hips back, tuck the toes under, and we come into downward dog. Take a deep inhale here. Exhale, roll the knees down towards the floor. Let's come back into child's pose. We'll stay for 3 more breaths, maybe rocking the hips from side to side. And keep your attention drawing inwards so you're noticing any new sensations. So from here, we'll tuck the toes under, we'll walk the hands back, coming into a little squat. Lift the tailbone, keep the knees soft, and then tuck the tailbone under, roll up vertebrae by vertebrae. Let's stay at the back of our mat, and we'll do one more round. Inhale, arms scoop wide, and exhale, diving forward. Inhale to flat back. Exhale, melting forwards. This time we walk the hands forward into plank. Drop the knees. The elbows fold back, they fold. You're bringing the chest to the point between the hands. Leave the hips behind. Slide onto the belly. Inhale up to cobra. Exhale, coming down. Tuck the toes under. Send the hips back. Folding into downward dog. Stay for a breath. And then roll the knees down to the floor. Have a moment's rest in child's pose. Rock the hips from side to side. And tuck the toes under. Walk the hands back. Lifting the hips up, rolling up to standing, arms scoop wide, and then the hands come to the heart. And let's close our eyes and pause here, standing for a moment, just to feel into any changes or subtle sensations that we didn't notice before. Okay, so opening your eyes. So we'll make our way to the wall now. So I'll just meet you over at a wall. Okay, so we're at the wall. If you've got floorboards, you'll definitely need a mat underneath you, otherwise you will slip when we come up into our second inversion against the wall. If you've got a carpet, you might be fine, but yeah, otherwise definitely find a mat and just a thin cushion, or you can also get a blanket and fold that up to get a little bit of height underneath the hips. I find the bolsters are a little bit too thick sometimes. So yeah, just see what you've got laying around the house, something thin to pop underneath your hips, but it's absolutely not necessary at all. Just make sure that you've got something underneath you so you don't slip. So from here, let's wiggle until we can feel the buttocks right against the wall, and we bring our feet to the wall, and then we'll come and lay down on our side with the right arm extended underneath us, and then flip the legs up the wall. And then if you come into it this way, you should feel like the whole backside of the legs are against the wall. If you found that the hips have slipped away from the wall, just come over to the side again, nuzzle in, get the buttocks right against the wall, and then flip the legs up. Okay, so from here, we should be feeling the whole backside of the legs against the wall. If not, see if you can shuffle a little bit closer. And we'll stay here for a few minutes just to allow that reversal of blood flow. And in this position, the heart can pump more blood up towards the head and the brain. And if you're going to a class and you're exploring different inversions and you're not quite feeling up to it on any particular day, which sometimes happens, this is always a really good option to do instead. Usually a teacher will give you this option, but if they don't, just remember that it's your practice, and if you're not feeling up for an inversion, you can always opt to do this instead. And also, depending on what yoga tradition that you're following, quite often certain yoga traditions say that it's not ideal to practice inversions when you're menstruating if you're a woman. And sometimes this might be a nice alternative as well, because it's not a full inversion, but that's completely up to you. Some traditions say it's completely okay, or you know, it might be okay at different parts of menstruation, but it's a really personal thing, so don't worry too much about it. If you're in a class and you really feel like doing an inversion, it's not going to do any harm. So connect into your deeper breath. Stay here for a few more breaths. And when you're doing an inversion, it's a good idea to stay there for 3 to 5 or even longer, even more minutes. Just to allow the body time to reverse that blood flow. I'll stay for about 6 more breaths. And then when you're ready, we'll just bend the knees and walk the feet down the wall slightly. So this next posture is optional. We're going to learn a supported shoulder stand against the wall. If you have any neck issues at all, I would recommend not to try this. Just stay with the legs up the wall and keep breathing and focusing in where we were just a moment ago. But if your neck is feeling quite healthy and open, and you feel like you would like to try this, we're going to bring the arms by the side and then just practice bending the elbows and bringing the palms forward, because that's where we'll bring our arms in a moment. And then we bring the arms down by the side, press the fingers into the floor, press the feet into the wall, and vertebrae by vertebrae, lift the spine up and start to press the hips forward. So keep coming forward until the hips start to move over the shoulders, and then you can bend the elbows and catch onto the lower back. You might like to play around with lifting one leg away from the floor if you feel comfortable there. Then find the wall again, lifting the left leg, find the wall again. Notice how your neck's feeling. The moment that there's any discomfort, make sure that you come down and just come to legs up the wall. So let's try that again, only if your neck was feeling quite comfortable there. If not, if that was a little bit too much and you've had enough, just rock the neck from side to side just to help release it. And then we walk the feet down the wall, get the arms ready to catch the lower back, and then palms flip down towards the floor, pressing the arms down, press the feet into the wall, and vertebrae by vertebrae roll the hips forward. So you're coming to bring the hips over the shoulders, and then bend the elbows to catch onto the back. Lifting the left leg away from the floor, finding the wall. Lifting the right leg, maybe both. And then slowly rolling the spine down. Bring the legs long, have a moment's rest, and we'll rock the head from side to side to release through the neck. Head comes to the center. You're welcome to have one more little play with that. If you are feeling really comfortable there, right on top of the shoulders with one foot against the wall, you can try bringing both feet away from the wall like I did just a moment ago. But make sure you're feeling really stable before you have a go at that. So when you're ready, pressing the hands down into the floor, walk the feet down the wall. Vertebrae by vertebrae, press the hips forward. You might like to come onto the toes, catch onto the back, play around with lifting one foot then the other, maybe bring both feet away from the walls and just explore a few different shapes. You might like to just play around with moving the legs around a little bit. The spine down. We'll keep the knees bent and start to walk the feet towards each other and open the knees out to the side. You can slide the heels down towards the groin, press the knees towards the wall, maybe rock them from side to side. And then from here, let's slide the feet a little higher, draw the knees in together, and we'll just walk the feet around to the right. Slide the arms out to the side, and just look the head to the left. Stay for 5 deep breaths. Maybe bring the right hand on top of the left leg to weigh the legs down. If your knees are hanging there, that's when you can bring in your bolster and just place it underneath the legs. Stay for 2 more breaths. 1 more breath. And then as you exhale, walking the feet around to the other side, all the way over to the left. If you need to pop the bolster underneath, then do so. Use the left hand to weigh the legs down. Keep the right shoulder heavy on the floor, looking out to the fingertips, and we'll stay for 5 deep breaths. And last deep inhale here. Exhale, walking the feet over to the center, all the way over to the right. And then we use our left hand just to help prop ourselves up. And let's come and sit on our heels, and we'll get ready for dolphin pose. So, coming forward, we're just going to cup our fingers over our elbows and make a little triangle with our hands. We'll clasp the hands together, and then it's exactly the same as if we were to come into downward dog. So we start to tuck the toes under. Imagine a string attached to the tailbone or a strap underneath your hips, and then start to press down into the forearms and lift the hips up towards the ceiling. Keep a little bend in the knees. Maybe you can bring the head through and press the chest through slightly. Take a deep inhale. And exhale, bring the knees down to the floor, and we'll come back into child's pose. Have a moment's rest there. And then we'll go again. So cupping the hands around the elbows, make a triangle with the hands. Clasp the hands together, or you might even feel like you just want to press the hands together. That's completely okay too. And then from here, tuck the toes under, start to press down into the forearms. Float the hips up towards the ceiling, start to press the chest through. Keep a little bend into the knees, keep that sense of a lift through the hips. Breathing in. And exhale, drop the knees down to the floor. Have a moment's rest. So we'll go one more time. You can choose to hold a little longer, or you can choose to not do it at all this time. If you're feeling like you're starting to wear out a little bit, we'll just start to settle back into child's pose and have a longer rest. Otherwise, cup the fingers around the elbows, make that little triangle, either clasp the hands together or press the palms together. And then from here, imagine the string attached to your tailbone, a strap underneath your hips. And the hips float up. Keep pressing away from the floor. Start to press the chest through the arms. Hold for 2 more full deep breaths. Deep inhale. And exhale, lowering down. And we'll all join each other in child's pose. And from here, let's shuffle over to our left. Draw the right elbow in so that we can easily lower ourselves onto our backs. And we'll bring the arms out to the side. The knees, the hips and the heels are in a parallel line, and we're just going to move the head and the knees from side to side just to release the neck a little bit more and just to release the lower back. So knees drop over to the left, the head looks over to the right. The knees move over to the right, the head looks over to the left. Head to the right, knees to the left, and just continue this rolling from side to side. Remember to keep that deep breath flowing through the body. Keep your awareness on the sensations through the neck and the lower back. And then we'll come to the center, grab onto your bolster or your pillows, and we'll lift the hips up and just shuffle this bolster underneath so that the hips comfortably melt over the top. So you can choose to stay here. This is just a very subtle inversion happening here, or you can bring the legs up to 12 o'clock and just find a position where it's really comfortable to hold the legs there. So if you're sort of stacking the bones and you're playing around and you're finding that, that position where everything's stacked nicely, it should feel quite easy to hold the legs there. You can have a little bend in the knees if you like. Or if you prefer, you can shuffle against the wall again. So either here against the wall or feet on the floor. But otherwise we'll stay here for a little while just to get that inversion effect where the increased blood flow moves into the upper body. Drop back into that deeper belly breathing where there's this expansion on the inhale, contraction, belly button falling back towards the spine on the exhale. And if you get tired of holding the legs there, you can drop the legs down at any time you choose. And let's stay here for about 10 more long deep breaths. 2 more breaths from here. And 1 more deep inhale. As we exhale, we'll all drop our feet down towards the floor. If you're against the wall, just roll over to the side and move away so you can join this same position. So a supported bridge pose. And we'll move the arms up over the head, press the backs of the hands down into the floor. Just see if you can press into the feet and lift the hips for a moment. And then roll the hips down to the floor, windmill the arms out to the side and then down towards the floor. Hold onto the side of the bolster or press the hands down into the floor. And again, we'll inhale, lift the hips up. And exhale, melt the hips back into the floor. Inhale, arms windmill over the head. Press the backs of the hands into the floor. And then we inhale, lift the hips up. And exhale, roll the hips down, circle the arms out to the side, palms down next to the bolster, and then pressing the hands down into the floor, lift the hips up, remove the props from underneath you, and then roll vertebrae by vertebrae, the spine back down into the mat. From here, let's hug the knees into the chest, cross the ankles, take a little rock from side to side. And then let's bring the legs long to come into Shavasana. Palms facing the ceiling. Allow the muscles in the face to soften. The whole spine melts back into the mat. And we'll spend these last few moments just scanning through the body just to notice how we're feeling after our practice today. Notice any new sensations, notice where the joints feel a little more freedom. Check that you still have that depth in the breath, but also at the same time let it settle slowly down into a more natural everyday breath that's hopefully a little more settled and a little more naturally deep than it usually is. Stay for a few more breaths. And start to shift your internal focus outwards and sense the outside room and day. And you can start to wiggle the fingertips and toes. Start to bend the knees in towards the chest and just slowly, slowly make your way over onto your right side. Stay there, curled up into a little ball for a moment. And then use the left hand to prop yourself up. And come to sit. So thank you so much for coming to practice with me, everyone. I hope you enjoyed that. With the inversions that we do, just always remember that you just really want to go into any new types of postures with a lot of awareness, so you know whether you just want to stick with, say, the version where we just did legs up the wall and keep it simple, and only when you're feeling like everything is good and there's no injuries or no intense tension, that's when you'll start to move into some of these other postures that are a little bit more tricky. But yeah, adapt the practice to yourself and you will be fine. So thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy your day and I will see you next time.